Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 30 Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs for you from the Crafty Vault. I have a little bit of everything in today's video. I have traditional Halloween, I have a little bit of coastal Halloween, and I even have a Halloween tier tray. I hope you enjoy. I'm going to take some styrofoam balls and some burlap, and we're going to make some creepy eyeball orbs for a bowl filler. So I thought burlap would look good for the texture. I wanted to kind of look like a skin around an eyeball. And I wanted something a little bit stretchy. Burlap has a little bit of stretch, not a lot, but I just kind of unroll it to see about how much burlap I would need to cover one of these foam balls. These come in like the 2-pack. I think they're like the almost like 2.5-inch foam balls from the Dollar Tree. You could also do it with the smaller ones too, but I kind of wanted big orbs for this one. And so I'm just gathering it to see if that's going to cover. I'm going to be able to kind of tie it off on the back here to keep it taut because, you know, hot gluing to the foam doesn't work super well. So I'm going to actually tie that off. That looked pretty good, so I'm going to use that piece of burlap as a template to cut out a second piece for my second creepy eyeball. Now, I was thinking about what else you could use for the foam balls if you couldn't find them, and also like the little wiffle balls that they have at the Dollar Tree with like the summer sports stuff is almost exactly the same size, so those would work really well too. And those would actually be easier to hot glue to. I just hot glue the sides here where it was a little bit shorter, and then gather my corners, these two corners together, trying to pull it as taut as I can against the ball until I get this. So I'm going to have it all gathered here on the back because you're not going to be able to see that side of the eyeball. And I take some twine and I'm simply going to tie that off as tight as I can. Back here where like it's really rounded and looks nice on the front of the eyeball. So that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to tie it off a couple more times to make sure it's going to stay in place. And at this point, I can also cut off the excess burlap. I don't need that at all. That's only going to get in the way. It was a little bit thick there. I kind of had to cut like one piece at a time. But that is like the creepy skin part of my first eyeball. I got this idea from, I think Grandin Rhodes did some creepy eyeball orbs. I think I saw them last year on their website, and I've wanted to do some creepy eyes ever since, so I was really glad that I remembered to do this DIY. I think it turned out really cool. So again, I just kind of lay my styrofoam ball right there in the middle, hot gluing the shorter ends up. This burlap does fray a lot, but you're not going to be able to see any edges, so I'm not too worried about that. And again, I just pull my two corners together on this side, pulling it as taut as I can. The two corners on the other side. There's really not a lot of room to twist it. Just pull it as tight as you can. And then I just take another piece of that Dollar Tree twine and tie it off 2 or 3 times. Again, I'm going to cut off the excess fabric, and we have 2 eyeballs ready to go. Now for the eyeball itself, I thought it would be easier to design a printable, so I designed this eyeball printable, and I will share this in the description of today's video so that you can recreate. It's kind of a black and white eyeball, and I just printed mine out on regular copy paper because I wanted it to be nice and thin, so I'd be able to take the shape of the round eyeball. I just go ahead and cut them out. I kind of shaded the edges so you would know exactly where to cut these. And I printed out 2 at a time. I think I have them saved as an individual file. I will go ahead and put 2 on a sheet of paper if I can. That way it'll be easier for you to print them out both at the same time, kind of like I did. Now for the Mod Podge, I'm using the gloss Mod Podge from Dollar Tree. I don't often use that one, but what I want is the eyeball to look really shiny and real. So I just Mod Podge that onto the burlap. It's not going to want to stick at first, but if you leave it on there and kind of let the Mod Podge set up, it will dry and glue to the burlap. As you can see, I'm coating the front and the back, trying to get it as wet as possible. And I'm just gluing the eyes to the front of the eyeball if the tied part is the back of the eyeball. Those will be able to sit down in my bowl, that my creepy bowl I'm doing for Halloween, and you won't be able to see that back there. Once they dried, I went over them with another coat of the gloss Mod Podge to try to get that shiny eyeball look that I was going for. And I actually end up going over it a third time because I really like that glossy look. If you wanted to, you could do some like bloodshot eyes or something like that, but I really wanted just the simplicity of like a gray eye, kind of creepy. Now for like the eyelid part, I'm using some twine. This is the thicker twine than Dollar Tree. This is the twine from Walmart, but you could always do it with the Dollar Tree one as well. I'm just going to use some hot glue. I'm using my Surebonder just because I needed a fine line of hot glue. I didn't want you to be able to see any excess hot glue here from the twine. And I glue it to the top eyelid and then go around the bottom with that same piece. Really easy, and it kind of forms that opening between the creepy burlap skin and the eyeball itself to look like an open eye, kind of like that. See how that glossy Mod Podge makes it shine? And I printed it with like an eye shine in it too, which really helps enhance that effect. So I do the same thing for my other eyelid, just some twine, hot glue it all the way around in that eye shape, and I think that looks really cool. So that's pretty much all I have to do with my eyeballs. There they are. I think they look cool. Now for the bowl, I'm just using one of the Dollar Tree straw bowls, just a round one, just a regular tan color. I think that's going to be fine. And I'm going to fill it up with some Dollar Tree reindeer moss. I think I might have a couple different kinds mixed in here together. I've been having trouble finding that at Dollar Tree lately. I might have to go to another store. And then I just place my little eyeball orbs right inside, kind of one in the front, one in the back, looking like straight up. And then I make sure that everything is filled with reindeer moss, kind of coming out creepy on the sides. Now I wanted a spider. This is a little black fuzzy spider that I got at Walmart, but you could always use a Dollar Tree one. I just thought this one was the perfect size for this bowl. And then I thought, you know, if I'm going to have a spider in there, I better add some spider webs as well. So this is that webbing from the Dollar Tree. I don't normally like working with this stuff. I find it kind of hard to work with, but we're going to make it work with this. So I just cut some of the rope off and just stretching it out. I'm not going to need near as much as I think. And I just kind of want it to be thin and fluffy where I can string that like around the bowl, like between the eyes, have it come out the other side, and then have the spider on that, because I found that the spider was kind of blending in with the moss and you really weren't going to be able to notice it too much. And then I just have to work the spider back in there. Just a little bit of arranging here. I don't want it to be too heavy on this. I do like the fact that it kind of sticks to the outside of the basket. If I string it, makes it look more like a spider web. And I think I like my spider maybe this way a little bit more. I think he fits in there a little bit better. But I think he's a nice creepy touch to go with these great burlap eyeballs. Aren't they creepy and cool? I'm so glad that I finally did this project. It was so much fun. And I originally thought about doing some paper mache with like brown paper bags for the eyes, but I'm glad I chose to do the burlap. I think it was way easier and it looks really cool too. It's nice that it's a Halloween decoration that's spooky, but it's also kind of pretty. There they are, our eyeball orbs. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to like this video, subscribe for more DIYs, and I'd really appreciate it if you could also hype this video. This is a little bit smaller wood round from the Dollar Tree, just because I wanted a little bit more of a smaller base for this. But you could use the raw wood one too if you can find this. This is like a birth announcement one, I guess. And it's just going to be a basis for a ghost. So I'm going to go ahead and paint it ivory just in case you can see through it at all. Once I attach my ghost to it, I don't want you to be able to see any of the words behind it. And shout out to another creator that inspired me to make this project. I saw this on Instagram. A similar project made by the Navage Patch. So if you haven't watched them, be sure to check them out. He has great ideas, and he did one similar, and I wanted to see if I could do like a Dollar Tree version. And so that is what this is. We're going to use just the small wood round and some of the Dollar Tree white rope. This is the thicker white rope. You know, you could do it basically with any of them, but I kind of just try to figure out what I could do with one rope. So, as you can see, I can make 2 rows of our bat coming down each side of the wood round to give us a basis for that. So I just cut it in half like that. And then we're just going to start hot gluing. I leave the hanger in place and I start hot gluing the rope around the edge. Now, I only really need like a half of a circle like that. But since I already had like the whole wood round, and you're not going to be able to see it down there anyway, I'm just leaving it all intact. But you could always cut your background in like a half semicircle if you were using cardboard or something like that. Then I repeat the same thing here with the second row, just gluing to the inside. And it kind of looks like doll hair at this point, right? And I just start opening up more packages of rope. So this is my second package and doing another couple rows here. You're going to want it long enough to go all the way from one end to another and a third package. Now you see that I'm cutting them each a little bit shorter each time, but you know, you are going to have some scraps on a project like this. So I'm going to go ahead. This is package number 4, trying to count for you, and do a couple more rows with that one. And we want to keep doing that until we fill it all the way up. And I have a scrap piece that will fit perfectly in the middle. Now, I need this to be a little bit more even at the bottom. You can see I got pretty close to the right length, but it could be better. So I just laid a ruler on top of mine and kind of sketched that out with a Sharpie so I would know where to cut that. And you're going to have to use some strong, sharp scissors. These are my fabric scissors, and they actually do a pretty good job cutting through the rope. These are the Singer ones. But I'm just going to go, and it's such a big rope, you kind of have to cut one at a time. Now, once you get them all cut, that's when the fun part starts. You just start unwinding your rope into the 3 strands until you get up to the point that you hot glued it, right? And this is going to provide like the frilly part for the ghost that kind of makes it look like it is floating around. And I love the curliness of the rope. I think it gives the little ghost a lot of character. So take your time and just unwind every single one of your ropes, leaving all the rope that you glued down for the semicircle all in place, of course. That looks super cute. And now we just need to give our little ghost some character. So I thought for a face, we could use some of these little black stones from the Dollar Tree. I guess if you wanted a coastal touch, you could always do like some seashells painted black or some black seashells too. You're just going to want something. You know what? You could even use like black felt. I tried to find a couple of eyes that were ovals and like a really longer one oval for the mouth. And so I just kind of played around with them until I was super happy with it. Now it's just a matter of attaching the face. I'm going to do the mouth right here on the very centerpiece to give that little ghost scary face, and then glue on the other 2 black rocks for eyes. And I think we pulled it off, the little rope ghost using supplies from the Dollar Tree. He's so cute, and I can't wait to display him this year for Halloween. This is how he looks hanging on my wall. I love the black and white theme for Halloween, but I also love the fact that this is made out of rope. So it's going to go great with all of my coastal decor. I really love like the curliness of the rope once you unwind it like that. I think that gives our little ghost a lot of character. Now the next DIY is my favorite. I'm going to take a Dollar Tree sun hat and one of the Dollar Tree party hats, and we're going to make a beautiful witch hat. It's like a total work of art. I love how this turned out. Now I just take my little Dollar Tree sun hat. I'm going to leave it intact like this. I want the bill. I want the top of it. I do remove the tag just in case you might be able to see that through there, but you probably won't. And then I love using these Dollar Tree party hats. They're really big. All you have to do is kind of remove the tinsel from them. You could also use Dollar Tree cardboard for this and shape it into a cone, but I thought that this would be easier because it's already pre-made. I tried to pick the orange color or the gold color because I thought it would be easy to mask under what we're going to wrap this with. And it does have like the little party hat hanger in there, so I go ahead and pop that out. I'm just putting my party hat on my Dollar Tree sun hat like this. Now, if you can find the sun hats in black, it's going to make this job even easier. I could only find it in this regular straw color, but that's okay. We're going to make it look fun for Halloween. Now, I do want to attach it. I don't want this part falling off. It might mess up the total structure of it. So I just use a little bit of masking tape, and I tape the party hat to the sun hat so it stays in place. So basically, I want it to be made out of this straw texture, but I want the whole witch hat to be made out of it, right? So the bill and the very bottom of it's already kind of made for me. Now I just have to cover the entire top of the party hat. So that looks good. I have a couple hat tops from other DIYs I've done here on my channel, and I always like to try to save my scraps. And so I used one of them, and it was totally enough to cover that large party hat. If you've never taken one of these straw hats apart, all you got to do is kind of get it started a little bit and pull and tug, and it comes right apart like that. If you get to an area where it kind of stops, all you have to do is kind of clip the thread and pull it a couple times, and you'll get it going again, and you can just go ahead and do the entire thing till you get one strip of that straw. I'm going to try to use every last bit of this, so I go all the way to the very end. And one thing I've noticed when you unwind these, a lot of times you get that plastic thread that they use kind of poking out here and there. So all you got to do is kind of try to find it. And if you pull it, you can pull it all out. I was able to pull almost this giant thing all like in one piece. It's almost like a fishing line, I guess, that these are sewn together with. And so I just make sure that I got all that out so I don't have to worry about that once I get this thing put together. Now, you do have to kind of find the perfect place to start because you want to kind of continue that pattern that has already started on here with a full piece of this. So I start right about here, and you won't be able to tell where you really start and stop. I'm going to follow the same pattern that the sun hat is made out of, but I'm just attaching mine with hot glue to the party hat. You want to overlap it ever so slightly because you don't want to see any of the party hat underneath of it. And so I just kind of do a section at a time. I did have to kind of like, let it set up and dry a little bit before I started spinning my hat and attaching more because I wanted to make sure that it stayed in place and it didn't kind of, migrate up on me and that you could see some of the party hat. So I just kind of take it slow, one section at a time. It's just like wrapping something with like rope or something like that. And I was a little worried that you might be able to see the gold through it, but in the end, you can't really see it. But if you get like a more bold color of party hat, because sometimes that's all you can find at Dollar Tree, you might consider painting the party hat first. Or again, you could also use just poster board for this. That one strip that I unwound was plenty long enough to do the entire thing, so I just keep wrapping it around. Now, I did consider decorating the witch hat in this like just straw color since this is all I had or could find at the Dollar Tree. But I'm actually going to end up painting this, and I'm so glad I did because it just looks so cool in the end. And I am going to speed this way up because it is a little time consuming because you have to kind of make sure that you get each piece glued down just right to kind of continue that pattern all the way up. You don't want to be able to see any seams. You don't want to see any gaps. You want to make sure everything is glued down. You don't want it kind of gaping a little bit later. You want it to look like it's all one piece. So I just keep wrapping it and gluing it all the way to the top. When I get to like the very tip top, I thought it would be a little bit easier to stand mine up and wrap it. But otherwise, I was just kind of like, as you can see, just kind of spinning it away from me like that. And I want to just make sure that I get the very tip top exactly how I want it. So I'm just going to keep going around and around until I cover the party hat completely. And I only have like a little bit left here at the end, which I also make sure that I kind of glue together to give it that seamless witch hat feel. Now, I've looked for Dollar Tree hats at Dollar Tree before, and they're, very low quality. And the fact that I was able to make this with supplies from the Dollar Tree is amazing. Because I think if I would have bought this, it would have been pretty darn expensive. So I just cut off the excess that I had there, glue it to a very tippy top there, and what we're going to do is paint it. So I'm just using black acrylic paint and a brush. What I want to do is I want it to be black, but I want some of that straw color to peek through like in the seams. So I'm making sure I don't go too heavy in like the little crevices here, because I do want that straw color to shine through, and it made it look textured. It made it look aged. I think that a brush and acrylic paint is definitely the way to go on this rather than spray paint. I mean, you could spray paint it, but what you're going to get is it's going to get in all those little nooks and crannies, and you're going to get a solid color. Now, if that's what you want, that's fine. But I wanted that great two-tone color scheme, and I just love how this turned out. So again, I'm just using black acrylic and kind of a larger paintbrush from the Dollar Tree. And I am just going all over until we have a black hat. I'm not going to worry with like the underside of the witch's hat there at that point. You're not really going to be able to see it under there, even though I don't know if it's because I added the paint, but it's a little frilly around the edges, which I love. It just gives it so much more character than sitting completely flat like a cheaper witch hat. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to kind of go over it here and there just to make sure I didn't have any patches that were too light. And again, trying to let as much as that straw color shine through as I can, but at the same time making it black was my goal. And I want to decorate this really beautifully. I absolutely love how it turned out. I'm just going to make sure that I get it good and dry first. And then I want the decorations to be spooky, but kind of simple. So instead of a ribbon to go around the witch's hat, I'm going to use the Dollar Tree creepy cloth. This is like the ivory color of it. I thought that would look really good with it. So I am just going to kind of measure out how much I need. I'm just going to kind of bunch it up like that to make a little creepy sash to go across the hat. That looks like that's going to be plenty long enough. So let me kind of try to decide where I want the front of my witch's hat to be. I do want to kind of decorate it over to one side too. So I'm going to have the seam be right here back in the back. Even though with this creepy cloth stuff, you probably can't really tell too much where it starts and stops. And I just make sure that I don't overlap it very much. Just attaching it with hot glue only to the back like that. And I think that looks really creepy and cool. I think it's a little bit more decorative actually than ribbon. And then to decorate it, I'm using the Dollar Tree wood sola roses, the wood curl roses. And I think I'm going to use 5 of them. I'm just going to leave them that natural wood color. I think that's going to look really pretty together. I think I'm going to do 3 on the bottom and like 2 on top. I think that looks kind of cool. So I'm just going to simply attach these with hot glue. You could also use, real flowers. I would probably suggest maybe like a white flower or something like that. Or if you're not going to paint yours black, you could always do black flowers for this part. They have like the black roses from the Dollar Tree, I know, with the Halloween section. I think 5 of those is perfect. And then I wanted a little touch of white. So I'm using some of the Dollar Tree Baby's Breath to give me that little bit of white. I want that kind of poking out from behind the wood sola roses on each side. I noticed that a lot of them are kind of missing. The Baby's Breath kind of falls off of them a little bit. So I just cut mine into individual pieces. And if there's any like just plain green stems, but nothing there, I just go ahead and trim those off. It looks better than kind of like leaving those on there. But individual pieces are just a little bit easier to work with. I just add a little hot glue to the tip of them and have them kind of peeking out from behind. And I think this is the perfect final touch. So it's really spooky, but this Halloween decor is actually, I think, really beautiful. So let me give you a closer look of how of our Dollar Tree sun hat, witch's hat, turned out. Isn't it so pretty? All that texture and those colors. And the fact that you can see the straw behind it, and that's like the same color as those wood flowers from the Dollar Tree, I think is just so fun. I love it. I wanted to make a little coastal bat sign. So I'm going to use just one of these signs from the Dollar Tree. It can be anything. I just kind of wanted it to be square and something that could stand up on its side. And I'm going to combine that with one of the little Dollar Tree slatted bat signs to do a fun coastal sign. Now, the only thing I don't like about these signs is they have the little bump out cardboard sign on the top. And it's just kind of like glued on to the one underneath of it. So it's just a matter of trying to peel this off without really damaging the sign behind it. Otherwise, any kind of thrifted sign, anything square is going to be good for something like this. And once I got that all cleaned up, isn't it kind of funny that they put the same image on it? I am going to mask that by just going over it with a coat of white paint. I just kind of want a blank canvas for this. And a lot of these DIYs are going to be like black and white and blue color scheme for Halloween, which I think is really fun. Definitely goes with the coastal vibe. So I'm going to use a Caribbean blue mixed together with some ivory because I wanted a nice beachy blue. And we're just going to go over the front and like all of the sides of the sign with that. I wanted the blue sign, and then we're going to bring in like the black bat, and we're also going to add some words and some fun details on this. So I'm making this for my cabinet for Halloween decor. And I have a lot of really fun, kind of like complimentary projects to go with it today. So that looks pretty good. We can start on our little slatted wood bat from Dollar Tree. I love the little slatted Halloween signs. I think they're really cool. I don't really need a hanger because I'm going to attach it to the front of the sign. So I just use a little spackle to fill that up. And we're just going to paint this little bat black. I have it upside down because I want to kind of hang it upside down like that, like a bat would be hanging like in a cave. So I just go over all of it with some black acrylic paint, making sure to kind of get into the grooves to that back part of the sign as well. Kind of have to switch to a smaller brush for that. And I thought you might be able to see the edges, so I'm going to go ahead and touch those all up with black as well. And I don't want it to be like just a solid black like that, so I'm going to give it a slight coastal farmhouse distress just by using ivory, acrylic, a chunky brush, and just distressing in one direction, blending any excess with a baby wipe. And I just want that, like, beachy look for that. And I think that's going to look really cute hanging upside down here on our little blue sign. So I'm going to have it like hang from something up here, but I also wanted the sign to be big enough to kind of put a word or two underneath of it. And so I'm actually going to use my Cricut for this. And I'm not sure what the fonts were I used on this. I'll see if I can find these and share these in the description below. I might still have the file for this. And I just put one to hang. I thought that would be really cute with a little bat hanging upside down. And I just did it with black vinyl. And we're just going to add that straight to the sign just to make it nice and easy. This is the black vinyl that I get on Amazon on the roll. I really love this stuff. And then I also use the paper transfer paper. Both of those should be available in my Amazon shop below. And I just put it right here on the bottom of the sign, and an easy way to add a little personalization to that sign. I haven't attached the bat yet. I just kind of put it there to kind of see where I would want it. Just want to make sure that my vinyl is good and down. I like to sand it sometimes to kind of make it kind of blend in with the board a little bit. And I also want to make sure it doesn't come up. So I'm just going to seal it with some Mod Podge, some matte Mod Podge to kind of give me more of a matte finish.
Here lately, I've been using like a matte vinyl that I get on Amazon with the white, and I really like that because I don't tend to have to Mod Podge it to get that finish. I don't really like the shiny vinyl look when I'm making a sign. And then another thing you can do is distress it. I'm going to distress mine with a little bit of ivory, kind of break it up, kind of make it look more like a hand painted sign, a little bit more coastal, kind of matching the distressing that we did on the little black bat. So I think we can put this all together now. I kind of want to hang it like this. And so I just go ahead and hot glue it to our sign. And then I actually want something for it to be hanging from. And so I'm going to actually use a twine for that, make it look like it's hanging from a twine piece. But I noticed that even though it is a sign that's kind of designed to stand on its side, it wasn't quite strong enough to hold the bat up. So I'm just going to use a little Jenga block from Five Below here, just to weigh down the bottom to make sure this stands up the way that I like. And then we can go ahead and add some twine. I actually had some twine left over from one of those little shelf signs from the Dollar Tree, so I might as well use it. I just burn off the fuzzies, put it underneath the little bat feet like that, and wrap that around the sign. We can secure it on the inside, just with a little bit of hot glue. And I think this DIY is complete. Just a really simple, fun Halloween DIY, but it's also got the coastal vibes with the beachy blue and the rope that the little bat is hanging from, and a little bit of coastal distressing as well. And this is how it turned out, our little wanna hang bat. I love the blue and black together. I did a Halloween tier tray like this too, and I really love that combination together.
They look really good together. And I always love a pop of blue in any decor that I do. Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up this margarita glass at Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is try to make it into a little ghost using one of these automotive towels from the Dollar Tree. They're white and fuzzy. I thought this would be a perfect little fuzzy ghost. They are rectangular, so I go ahead and lay it on there and see if it's going to make a good ghost shape. I wanted something with a round top. That's why I got like this huge margarita glass, and also because it was really heavy. So it's not going to like tip over or anything like that. And so that's going to be my little ghost. He does need little ghost eyes. And so I picked up some felt from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut out some black ovals for eyes the best that I can. So I just cut down some of the black felt into some squares. And then I decided it'd probably be easier to do like rectangles and kind of go from there. I don't know why. Circles and ovals, especially, are really hard for me to cut out. So I try to start a little bit bigger so that I can trim it down a little bit to try to make it look symmetrical. And then I noticed one's like way bigger than the other one, but that's okay. I can always trim one down. So that looks pretty good. I want to attach those to the front of the ghost. One thing I didn't really like is that since it's a rectangle, um, one end was a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is just kind of fold that in half, bend one corner over so that I can cut it down to give me a square. That's just going to make it not be too long. And I can hide that like open seam like that just in the back where you really won't be able to see it. Again, I do like the fuzzy side of the automotive towel up to give me that cute ghost design. And then we'll add the eyes to the front. I'm only going to do eyes. I'm not going to do a mouth or anything like that, but just trying to lay it out to see exactly where I'm going to want these. And this is going to be a functional piece of decor because it's going to hold my candy bowl. And it turned out so cute. It was so easy to put together. So I go ahead and glue my eyes on there right where I think. Then I thought about I'm going to be adding the bowl to it, taking it off with candy. I don't want my ghost sliding off in the process, so I'm just going to do a little bead of hot glue around the rim of the glass and attach it with glue. That way my cute little ghost will stay exactly where he's supposed to be. And I like it way better like when I cut it down into the square. As you can see, there's not too much fabric now. Now, I want the ghost to look like he's trick-or-treating, so I picked up these cute little trick-or-treat pails from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to make it look like the little ghost is holding it. So to do that, I just kind of measure where I want it to be. I add a little bit of hot glue, here to the front of the towel and glue that where it is kind of stuck to him. But I also want it to look like maybe he's got some little ghost arms coming out here from the side, like holding it from the sides too, just to give him a little bit more personality. And I do that just by adding a dot of hot glue on each side of the little jack-o'-lantern pail. So there's the ghost part of this. Now it's fun for the candy part. I picked up this black bowl from the Dollar Tree. It's got spiders all over it in spider webs. It's a rather thin plastic, but I think it will work well for a candy dish, kind of a disposable candy dish. And I picked up some Dollar Tree candy, and I couldn't believe how expensive Halloween candy was this year. But I'm going to go ahead and add everything that I got to fill this all the way up for the trick-or-treaters this Halloween. So that looks pretty good. The bowl is large, so it holds a lot of candy, and this is going to be a great little base to sit it on where I can take it off, give it to the trick-or-treaters, sit it back on my cute little ghost, and it also serves as decor. Isn't he so cute? He's so easy to do. I know so many people have made like ghost projects, and I thought that this one would be a really fun one to try. The little jack-o'-lantern pail, I think, makes him very cute little candy bowl. Now for the next DIY, I actually found this cute little coffin at the Target dollar spot for $5, and I thought I could do something really creepy and coastal Halloween with it. You could use one of the Dollar Tree coffin signs and try to kind of make your own. This was already put together though, so I'm going to go for it. Now to make it look creepy, I'm using Spanish moss, and I'm going to do that on both levels. I want it to look like skeletons, like at the bottom of the ocean kind of feel. And so for the skeletons, I'm using these little skeleton garlands from Dollar Tree. Nice tiny skeleton that I think is going to fit nicely in this little dollar spot coffin. And I'm going to kind of try to bury him a little bit in some of this Spanish moss, where he can be down in this bottom section, kind of like a skeleton on the bottom of the ocean kind of thing. And so I add more Spanish moss, trying to make him a little bit more buried in there. He did try to pop apart on me, but easy enough to put back together. And I also want to add like some skulls. These are the little tiny skulls from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to add one up here on the shelf. They come in just a little bag like this. Pretty easy to find at Dollar Tree. And I wanted to add some sea creatures and other things that would be creepy too. I was trying to find some black florals. I was able to find this black succulent from the Dollar Tree, so I thought that looked kind of creepy for Halloween. It does have like a little clip here on it. I just actually used that to kind of clip it down inside there, but I found it worked a little bit better just without it. So I just hot glued that little black succulent in there. I thought that looked creepy. And then these are like the Burlap Eyeball roses from the Dollar Tree. They also have like other little pieces on them that look a little bit like coral. And so I'm going to trim off some of those. I thought that would look good in there for like an under the sea kind of theme. They also have like little spiders on there as well, but I was kind of going for the little coral parts here. And you could also use that black coral garland that they have. That would work well for coral too. But I was kind of going for black spooky things to add. And I just do one on the top and in the bottom, kind of peeking out from behind the Spanish moss. I don't know why, I think the Spanish moss really helps with the creepy factor. These are some of those little grow animals from the toy aisle at Dollar Tree. The sea turtle is already black and creepy. So I thought I could paint the little stingray to make him black and creepy too. Half of his body is already that color, so I just have to kind of paint the back of him here. And it's going to make him look spooky. You could also do some of like the grow fish and stuff like that. As long as you're not adding water to these, you can definitely paint them. I'm going to do my little sea turtle in front of the coral down there. Little stingray up here. And I'm just attaching them with hot glue because I am going to like stand this up. I don't want them falling out. I want everything to kind of stay in place, especially if it's more towards the front. Now, I pick up these little starfish on Amazon. You can get them in like this ivory color and in blue. I have them both linked in my Amazon shop. They're really cute. You get a bunch of different sizes to choose from usually. And I'm just going to add one up there and then some seashells since it is kind of the bottom of the ocean kind of feel. I thought seashells would look nice, so I just want to work some of those in and kind of bury them a little bit too. This one I attached to the succulent, so it looks like it's kind of crawling on there. It kind of looks like a snail. And then another shell here at the bottom. For the skeleton, I noticed that he really didn't have any shading, so I'm just kind of going to give him a little bit of definition with a black Sharpie here in his eyes and nose, just to make him look a little bit all not the same color and a little bit creepier. But I absolutely love how this turned out. I think it looks so like coastal under the sea theme. The front of it is like this unfinished wood for some reason, even though the rest of it is kind of a nice wood. And so I'm just going to use some twine all the way around and just kind of do that as a border. This is that thicker twine. It's a little bit thicker than the Dollar Tree twine. This one is available in that big roll from Walmart, and it worked perfectly. I'm also going to do the shelf as well. And that's just another little coastal touch that I gave to this little coffin DIY. Pretty cute, and I just love how you can make coastal and Halloween go together. This was just kind of seamless. And definitely creepy too, even though there are sea creatures and stuff like that. Isn't that so fun? I displayed mine with like a fishing net down below. Okay, for the next DIY, this one's going to be a really large life-size Halloween decoration. We're going to start out with a laundry basket from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter which color you get. This is going to be the base for like a skeleton reaper. I'm also going to be using a Dollar Tree paper towel holder. So what I want this to be, the base to hold up a broomstick to make my skeleton body. It's going to be like, probably about 5 feet tall in the end. It's pretty large. And the thing that I'm going to do to attach this is just use zip ties. So I picked up some zip ties from Dollar Tree, and I start with 4. So I thought 4 would be plenty, but after constructing it, I had to go back and add more. So I'm going to be making another life-size project today, and you'll be able to see exactly how many I added. But basically, see how I have the different slots? I did 4, 1 in each corner to start with, but then I had to go back. And on the back of the Skeleton Reaper, I had to do a zip tie in every single slot. So keep that in mind. You're going to need it to be attached strongly because the laundry basket's not that heavy. I needed a little bit more reinforcement there in the back to hold my Skeleton Reaper up. And so I started with 4, but definitely added to it. So this is what it looks like at this point. And we're going to start putting this together. I picked up a Dollar Tree broomstick, and I'm going to attach that to the paper towel holder. You're going to want to attach it with duct tape, is what I picked up from the Dollar Tree. Now, again, I had some stability issues on this one, so I did go back and cut a hole right there where the broomstick comes in and put the little screw part down into it to make it more stable. But then I had to re-duct tape it. So this was me originally putting it together with 3 pieces of duct tape. I was inspired to make this based on a TikTok that I saw. And of course, TikToks are very short. They make it look really easy. But then, of course, it didn't really work that well logistically. So I had to go back and make some tweaks. Now for the mask, I picked up one of these from the Dollar Tree. I was lucky enough to find a white hooded mask. I noticed these come in different colors. It doesn't really matter because I'm actually going to paint mine anyway. I like the fact that it's distressed and stuff like that. I am going to paint it though to match the skeleton hands that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I noticed there was a little elastic strap in there, which really didn't serve me any purpose. The hood definitely does, but not the strap. So I just removed that carefully. And I want to try to match the skeleton hand. So I picked up 2 skeleton hands from Dollar Tree. I like the finish of these better than the ones that are really glossy and like tannish. But you can always paint them if that's the only ones that you can find. And I'm going to try to match that color. So I mix a little antique parchment and some beachcomber beige together to give me a great bone color. And I'm just going to go over the skeleton. I like the fact that it was distressed, but again, I need the skull and the hands to match a little bit, right? So I'm just kind of dragging this all over with the sponge dauber. The That way I get a very thin coat. You can still see the distressing kind of coming through it. I did struggle a little bit trying to keep it off of the hood on this project, so I did have to do a little touch up. Just be careful around the edges if you paint yours. I did go in with a smaller brush to try to get closer to the edge. It did help me, but I don't mind like a little bit of the black showing through, like especially around the teeth area and stuff like that. And again, this is just a mask that you would wear for Halloween. And so logistically, I'm trying to make it into like a craft project. Now, one thing I did notice is when I put this on my project, the back of his head is flat, you know, because there's nothing really there to fill it out. I'm thinking that closer to Halloween, I will like pop a black balloon or something in there to make the back of his head look good too. Because right now he's kind of got a flat head at the moment. But I think that would be an easy way to fix it. Because you're going to be able to see through the eye holes and the nose holes, you want something black in there. So that's why I'm thinking a black balloon would be good. But I got that all painted and touched up. I think the hands are perfect and ready to go. I do want to make arms for my little skeleton reaper. I keep forgetting that word, reaper. And so I'm going to attach it to a fun noodle. I'm also going to decorate him with some of the Dollar Tree chains. This one is the glow in the dark one, which is cool. But I do want it to look a little bit metallic, so I'm going to paint that one too. I thought he could hold it or I could put it around his neck, something fun. And so I'm just going to slightly distress this one because if this does still glow in the dark, I think that would be cool. So I just take some silver metallic paint. I've been noticing Dollar Tree getting a lot of metallics in, so you can probably find this at Dollar Tree too. I'm really impressed with their new paints. As you'll see, I even do a glow in the dark paint from Dollar Tree today in one of the projects. But I am just going all over with that silver metallic and just slightly distressing it, letting that glow in the dark come through, but giving it a little bit more of a chain vibe with that. I picked up this silver metallic paint at Dollar General, so that can be a good source for it too. And as you can see, I'm just barely distressing it. So like half of the white glow in the dark comes through and half of it has just like a little bit of metallic feel. And this was just personal preference. They do, I think sometimes have this in more of a metal look, but I couldn't find it in any of my Dollar Trees. So I picked up the glow in the dark one. But I think the chain is definitely going to go with a skeleton like Reaper feel. And again, I think the hands are perfect. I don't have to do anything to them. To attach them to the fun noodle, I'm going to use zip ties. I thought I'm going to need probably 2 per hand. And the plastic on these from Dollar Tree is pretty thin. So to poke holes in it, I'm just using one of those tiny screwdrivers and just pushing it through. And I kind of shake it back and forth a little bit to give me more of a horizontal cut because the zip ties are that shape. So it'll be easier for me to put these through. So I poked 2, so like the hands will be steady. I don't want them like flopping around. And I just simply put the zip tie through like that, making sure I get it going the right direction so it will work. And then for the other one, I reverse direction. That way I can have one going one way and one going the other way. So we're going to do the same thing here with the other skeleton hand. For the arms for the skeleton, I'm using a Dollar Tree fun noodle. On the TikTok that I watched, they cut the fun noodle in half and attached it with zip ties. I'm going to try a different approach, which I think will work a little bit better and kind of give my skeleton reaper a little bit more of a back to go with his like shoulders in the final project. So again, I put one going one direction and one the other. This is the pool noodle that I got. It's white, doesn't matter. If you could get a black one, that would be great, but you're not going to be able to see it, so it doesn't really matter. Now, this is so easy to poke a hole into. I just use a screwdriver, poke a hole in my pool noodle, and then I'm going to pull it through and zip tie that. I'm glad I decided to do 2 because I was able to get it on there just right. Now, I think sometimes Dollar Tree has the skeletons that have the wrist attached. And if you're able to find that, you could just slide that down inside the pool noodle. I wasn't able to find those, and I think they might be a little bit smaller. And I definitely wanted my hands to be rather large to go with the large scale of the project and for the skull mask there that you see. So I just zip tie those, cut off the excess strip, and it's still attached. So here is the other end of my foam noodle, and I'm going to do the same thing. I just kind of try to figure out where I should poke a hole. Kind of hard to see where you poke a hole on that. You kind of have to feel around for it. And zip tie this one on. What I'm going to use for the shoulders of the Skeleton Reaper is a Dollar Tree hanger. It's going to give that perfect shoulder shape. And I'm also going to be able to attach this pool noodle to that to attach the arms to the project. I want them sticking out like he's either trying to hug you or get you for Halloween. So I do end up duct taping this to the hanger to make it a little bit more stable. But this is what it looks like so far. Our little skeleton arms. And Dollar Tree also has hangers if you don't have any extra hanging around. So I picked up some black ones. I think you get 7 there for $1.25. And all I'm going to do is simply put it through the hanger like this, where the arms will stick out each side. Now friction does kind of keep it in place, but I want mine to be stand up and not like tilt down at all. I'm going to do another life-size project today where I do have it tilt down a little bit, so that's a little bit different in the projects. Since I want this one to stay up, I'm going to use some Dollar Tree duct tape, and I'm going to just duct tape that in place. I'm just making sure that my arms are the same length. I have it in there exactly where I want. You can kind of see how much back I want this project to have by how far I stuck it through the hanger. So I just cut off a piece of duct tape. I also picked up the duct tape at Dollar Tree from the hardware aisle, and I'm just going to kind of duct tape this in place. I use a lot of duct tape on this project just to try to make it a little bit stronger. I would love to use these projects outdoors, at least for Halloween night. They're not super stable unless you weigh the bottom down a lot to be outside. So I'll probably only put them outside for like maybe one night. But if you wanted yours to be outdoor decor, you could just try to find something to weigh down the laundry basket at the bottom. And I think that would totally work for you. This is more for an indoor decoration or for a party, I guess. So what I did was I slid it down to about the sticker, the barcode there on my broom handle, and I duct taped the little hanger to the broomstick. I kind of forgot to record that part, but that is how I put that part together. Now for the cloak of our little Skeleton Reaper, I'm using a Dollar Tree black tablecloth, just a plain black plastic tablecloth. I kind of find the very center of it, poke a hole in there with my fingers, and I'm just going to simply put that over the top of my broomstick, making that come over the skeleton arms. And so long ways coming from behind to towards you. That way it's long enough for the front and the back. It's a perfect length. This is what it looks like right now with the little skeleton hands peeking out at the sides. As you can see, this is a really large project. Then I went in with some duct tape and I just kind of doubled it up and taped the sides. I did that about 3 or 4 times all the way down to the bottom so that the sides of the cloak are not open, and it kind of keeps everything together. I'm not going to cinch mine or anything with the waist, but I thought it would look even better if I covered it with some of the Dollar Tree creepy cloth. I was actually able to find it in black this time at my Dollar Tree. Usually I can only find gray. I think gray would look good too, but since that tablecloth looks cheap, I mean, look at it. I think that if we put this creepy cloth over it, I'm going to use a total of 2. We can make it look a little bit better. So I find that middle part and I just put that over the broomstick and I drape it like that down both of my little skeleton arms. Super creepy, but then I thought I needed another. So here is another creepy cloth. And for this one, I want it to be longer in the front because I want it to go all the way to the ground. I kind of find how that would be and kind of just put it over the broomstick as well, draping that around, kind of overlapping what I did to the arms. So this is what our little Skeleton Reaper is looking like so far. Let's go ahead and pop on his head. This is the part that I said that would be great if you put a black balloon in there maybe, just so the back of his head is not flat. But it looks great from the front. And there it is. So now we can add his chain. I decided, since mine was needed a little bit more stability, to hang mine around my Skeleton Reaper's neck like this. And again, I did make those changes by poking the hole in the laundry basket and adding more zip ties to make him a little bit stronger so that he does not tip over. Here is a view of our little skeleton. I love him. He's super creepy. My husband got a kick out of him. My son is visiting from college this weekend to see hurricane damage, and I think he's really gonna love these. Here's a little bit closer view of his torso and the skeleton face. I'm so glad I decided to paint him. I think he looks a little bit better this way. But a creepy skeleton reaper to greet your trick-or-treaters. I think this one turned out really fun. Now for the next DIY, I picked up a Dollar Tree black candle and a rubber black snake from Walmart. It was $2.98, and I had to go to Walmart because I could not find a rubber snake at Dollar Tree. I'm guessing they don't really have them. I just go ahead and remove the plastic from the Dollar Tree candle. Fingernail polish remover works perfect for getting that adhesive off. And I just want to find a way to attach this creepy black rubber snake around the black candle like this. It's going to be such an easy DIY. It looks so creepy for Halloween. I love it. I did need something really strong to glue it though, so rubber to glass. So I decided to use super glue. And if you want to see a crafting fail, just wait. The super glue went underneath, stuck my candle to my silicone mat, and look, it ripped it. I was so upset, but you know what? I've had the silicone mat for quite a while. I probably needed a new one anyway. So be careful. The super glue is extremely sticky. At least I didn't glue it to myself. Am I right? So again, I'm just kind of about an inch between each layer of the snake. I am just going around it. Don't pull too hard on it. The rubber is not super sturdy. It will split a little bit. But then I also add some super glue more carefully this time to the bottom of the snake too. And wasn't that easy? I love a good snake DIY because I'm really scared of snakes. So I think it's definitely really scary. It was so easy just using a Walmart rubber snake and a Dollar Tree candle. I wonder why Dollar Tree doesn't carry snakes. Maybe they do and all my stores are always out, but I have never ever found one there. Not even like a lesser quality one. I don't know why. Okay, next DIY. I picked up a tombstone from Dollar Tree. I kind of got a generic one. It just says RIP because I kind of want it to look like a under the sea grave that's been found that has all kinds of ocean debris on it almost. And so I wanted something simple. I didn't want a lot of words, and I did want a cross on the top of it. So I think that is perfect. This is the color that we're going to use on it. It's Beachcombers Beige by Apple Barrel. And I'm going to make it into a standing sign that I can put, or tombstone that I can put into my house. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the back too, because you might be able to see it, but it doesn't have to be anything special. I'm just trying to cover the black and gray and stuff that's on there. And on the other side, there is glitter, but I'm going to paint that so that's going to kind of blend it in. What I want it to look like is almost like old wood that's been under the ocean for a long time and forgotten about. And it's very, very weathered was the look I was going for. And these little tombstones from the Dollar Tree paint really well. I've painted them before on a Halloween party that I did where I did pastel Halloween. And I painted them pastel colors. That was really a fun DIY as well. So it is made out of foam, so I am being kind of careful using my dryer. But I did find that I had to use it. I just tried not to get too close to the foam. And I got the edges as well when I was doing the back. And now that I have that done, I can concentrate on the front. I want seashells. I want mosses and all kinds of funny things on here that it would look like if you pulled it out of the ocean, it's been in there for a long time. That was my goal. I did think about changing the words on one, kind of personalizing it, but they do such a good job with the foam molding on here and stuff like that. I didn't really think I'd be able to recreate that very easily. And I was trying not to use my Cricut on this project. So I'm just going all over. I did use a brush for this because as you can see, there's lots of little nooks and crannies you have to get your paint into. And I'm working a lot harder on the front than I did the back because this is the side that everybody's going to see. I love how this turned out. It turned out so cool, and it was exactly what I envisioned. I was so glad that I was able to find this tombstone sign at my Dollar Tree today, and I was surprised to see that they had Christmas set. Please let me know in the comments below if you want me to start doing Christmas videos. It's really hot in Florida, and we're getting ready to have a hurricane, and I'm like, Christmas? No way. But then I noticed that all the other crafters are doing Christmas, so you'll have to let me know one way or another. I like to not skip Thanksgiving, so expect some Thanksgiving videos from me for sure. Now I'm using Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush, and I'm distressing that paint all in one direction, really trying to bring out all the little bump out parts. So like the borders, the letters, the spider web, the little pretty thing at the top, and make it look like a wood grain almost, or a weathered look. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Driftwood. And then I went back and forth with my original color just to make sure that I didn't get it too dark anywhere. But it was pretty easy to do. One thing I also noticed is that you can get some pooling of the paint like between your letters and like little cracks and stuff like that. So just be careful that you get that all kind of filled in so it can dry properly. Now for the base, I just picked up a piece of Dollar Tree craft wood, and I'm going to paint it to match. So I used just that Beachcomber beige, just a very thin coat on the top and front and back, and then go back in and distress with that Antique Wax by Waverly, and it gives me that perfect driftwood. That looks pretty good. I did go in and carefully dry it, again trying not to melt it. Now the reason I wanted a cross on the top is because I wanted to do shell encrusted cross. I thought that would be cool for my coastal Halloween theme. And so I love to glue down shells with tacky glue. It dries clear. It's really strong. You don't have to worry about melting the foam with hot glue. So I just squirt some in there, and I'm going to fill it in with some of the Dollar Tree shells. These are the tiny ones that come in the glass bottles. I know a lot of you guys, including myself, have been trouble finding these lately at Dollar Tree, but I got a giant jar of like 1,200 of them on Amazon the other day, and it was a really good deal. And I have that linked in my Amazon shop, which is in the description of this video if you need some tiny shells to do some shell encrusting. They work perfect for that because they're so small. So I just glue those in there, let that set up. Don't have to do anything else to it. Now it's time to make it look mossy and mucky, right? So I start with some Spanish moss, and I'm going to do like a little bit in each corner. There's like a little cutout here. I'm trying not to, I don't really want to cover up the words or anything, so I kind of want to accent everything with it. I do like a pile of Spanish moss right here. And Spanish moss and reindeer moss is normally something that you can find at the Dollar Tree. This is the reindeer moss, but I've been having a lot of trouble finding it lately. I don't know why. I know that you can get it on their website, so I don't know if it's a regional thing or what. I know a lot of you guys have said you've had trouble finding it too. I had to break down and go to Walmart and buy both of them, and it's a little bit more expensive, but you do get a lot, so keep that in mind if you need some. I think I'm just down to that lycopodium stuff. That's pretty much all I have left, and the floral moss that's brown. But I like the reindeer moss and the Spanish moss better because look how cool this looks. I'm trying to mix it up, a little Spanish moss here, a little reindeer moss here, and so it's like two different colors of the moss. Now that I have that on there, I thought I need some more shells. So I'm going to do seashells along the bottom. Again, these are Dollar Tree seashells, just little tiny ones. You can use whatever you have, your shelf stash if you have one like me. I started out with some Dollar Tree shells, and then I wanted a little variety, so I decided to start adding some shells that I found at the beach as well. Some fun treasures. I got this pretty one at Sanibel. And I'm even going to put some up here because this is kind of like a fun place I can decorate. I'll do one in the middle and then maybe a couple on each side. And I think it's looking really cool so far. What do you guys think? Doesn't it look old and weathered? It's kind of exactly the look that I was going for on this. And so it's very lightweight. Of course, it's made out of foam. So all I have to do is hot glue it to that wood base, and it stands up on its own. And it's going to make a really cool tall sign for my home decor. You could even display this in your like entryway or like your front porch if you had a table or something like that. I think it would do okay out there. But this is how it turned out. I kind of think it's like a pirate's tombstone almost because it was found forgotten in the sea. But the moss and the seashells are definitely my favorite part of the project. Isn't that so cool?
Okay, we're gonna need one of the little plastic skulls from Dollar Tree, some of the little plastic bones, a little ship wheel from the Dollar Tree, and one of these little frames. I like these frames because they make a perfect base. You just have to kind of take off the little round frame that was on top of it. I just want the base. There are some nails kind of sticking out of it, so you better be careful with that if you take it apart like I do. Now, again, I'm going to use watered down Antique Wax by Waverly to stain my little ship wheel because I want a very light, like driftwood stain on this. I'm also going to do this same very light stain wash here on the base of our stand. And then I just dry it like that, and it kind of took that stain, and that's basically all there is with that. So that is so easy to do. Now to decorate it, I'm going to use these little bones. You're going to need 8 of the long ones, one for each one of the handles of the ship wheel, and you're going to need one of these skulls. They come in like a little bag at the Dollar Tree of a whole bunch of them. Now, the only thing I don't like about Dollar Tree bones and Dollar Tree skulls is the color. I think they always look a little bit better if you paint them like an ivory color. This is the Antique Parchment by Apple Barrel. I get this at Walmart. I also have been getting the Apple Barrel paint at Amazon, so I have added them to my Amazon shop below. I've been able to get some of my favorite colors, like we're going to use today, like Cloudless and Antique Parchment for like 58 cents on Amazon with like free Prime shipping. So that is a great deal, and it saves me a trip to Walmart. So I kind of distress like the little eye sockets and the black parts of it as well. But then I wanted them to kind of look more brownish. So I just went back in there with like a bronze Sharpie and kind of changed the color on mine a little bit. But I just want to give it a nice ivory feel and kind of distress the little areas that we just bronzed as well. Now, with the bones, I just kind of laid mine out, not realizing that they kind of have like a little joint on them that goes a specific direction. So you might want to take that into account because I'm only going to paint one side of these just to make it a little bit easier. But you're going to want to either have them all go the same way, or I ended up with 4 of each and it turned out perfectly, but I didn't really pay attention to that at the beginning. So I'm just using a small brush and going all over the bones with this antique parchment color. And I'm not going to paint the back just to save time. And then I just went back in with a second coat, but only if it needed it here and there, just to kind of cover up that plastic material that was underneath. And it just makes them look more high end. You can see how different they look than the ones over there on the left that are still in the package. Now, once I have everything painted ivory, we can start putting this project together. First, we're going to do the little ship wheel here. This is how it looks with that very light stain on it. The skull is for the middle of the ship wheel. And then we're going to do a bone on each one of the handles. That's when I realized that some are left and some are right. I ended up with like half and half, and I tried to do like a pattern with mine like that. But upon looking at it, I think I may have messed up my pattern because I was trying to alternate, and I think I almost did that. I did that some of the way around, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to hot glue one of the little bones to each one of these. Now the joints at the end go a little bit lower, so you could just glue those down. But if you do want to glue the bone down, which I did, you kind of have to push that plastic bone down in the middle so it can get contact with the ship wheel underneath. And I just do that on each side, going all the way down the handle so they only go to like the very beginning of the spokes there in the middle. This DIY was so easy to put together and it turned out so cute. It's very kind of classy, so I think it would really go with any kind of decor. I think it's going to go great with my coastal decor in my home. And I just burn off any excess hot glue, strings that we might have there. And then the little skull goes right here in this center section. Now, this wagon wheel is Shore Living, but most of my stores still have it because they don't normally sell out of this one, at least at my stores. Now it is going to be a standing sign, and I realized I did get a little bit of stain on the back. So to make it look a little bit more presentable, I just went ahead and did that very light stain on the back as well, just to clean that up. And then I just hot glued the little base here to the ship wheel, trying to push the little nails like into the ship wheel to keep it sturdy. And I think mine was a little bit crooked, so I did try to straighten it out a little bit there. But I think this turned out so fun. I call this one Dead Men Tell No Tales. I think it looks nice and creepy, and I love a good pirate decor for Halloween. Definitely goes with like the coastal Halloween vibe, and this is how it turned out. I think that the skull and stuff like that just looks way creepier, and that like ivory color looks a little bit more realistic too.
And I've still been able to find those ship wheels in the Crafter Square Dollar Tree. Now for the next sign, I picked up a trick or treat sign from the Dollar Tree with the little jack-o'-lanterns on it. This one's going to have like maybe a little coastal colors on it. So I wanted to make it into a larger sign. I'm going to do that with some of the Dollar Tree wood shelves. I love using these to create larger signs because the wood is very thick. You can paint it, stain it. It's just really a lot better quality than a lot of their signs at the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to put two together. It's going to make the perfect size sign for this. I just do a bead of hot glue and put them together just like that, forming a larger sign. It's going to be the perfect size for the trick or treat. I'm just going to fill in the holes from the trick or treat sign where you could hang it just to fill that in. And I want to paint that and kind of paint all of it. I want to make a standing sign with this. And I was going with black, white, and blue for these DIYs today. The blue is my little touch of coastal. But you could always change it up and do more traditional orange color as well. For the background side, I want it to look black and creepy, so I go over it with just some black acrylic paint. And I don't really mind the holes on the side of the shelves. I think it kind of just adds character to it. For the trick or treat sign itself, I'm going to do white. So I wanted the white to really pop against the black background. And so I just kind of paint all over with that. They do have quite a few of these like wood signs from the Dollar Tree. So it's really easy to make kind of your own Dollar Tree signs by, combining different signs together like this. Since I wanted my touch of blue, I'm going to go in with like this Cloudless by Apple Barrel Color and paint my little jack-o'-lanterns blue just for a little touch of coastal. And I think that's going to look good against the black for Halloween as well. Super easy to do. I told you this was going to be a really easy one. All I have to do now is attach my trick or treat to that black sign. As you can see, that white really does pop against it. I'm just going to do that by putting hot glue on some of the letters kind of evenly across and gluing that down. I really love this. I think it's really cute. It's kind of a big statement piece. I'm going to have this on my shelf for Halloween. And so I do want it to stand up. You could make it into a hanging sign, but since I'm going to have mine stand up, I just used a little bit of craft wood. You could also do this with some of the larger Jenga blocks too, but I just glued that on the back, not quite going all the way to the bottom, so it like leans back ever so slightly like this. And basically that's all there is to it. We have an easy little trick or treat sign with a little surprise, little pop of blue in there. Really cute. I do have a lot of wood Halloween signs that I really do need to DIY with more, I think. They actually turn out pretty good. This is how he turned out. Pretty easy to do.
Okay, the next DIY was really easy because I found one of these little cathedral window signs from Dollar Tree that was already black. But you know what? It would be super easy to paint one of those black if you found one that was the wood or the white. But it just saves me a step. Now, I want to cover up where it says home, and I also want to add some of these really cute little wood ghost ornaments from the Dollar Tree. And so I just do a coat of white acrylic on both of our ghosts and on that little sign to cover up the writing that was already on there. I've noticed when I've removed that sign before, it leaves like a lot of like little nails and stuff like that. and glue damage. So sometimes it's better just to go ahead and leave that on there and try to redecorate it to match how you want. Now, I did forget to fill the little ornament hole, so I'm going to flip that over, try to fill those up with a little spackle and maybe a little on the front too to try to hide that. You could always do a little bow on there if that bothered you, but they don't really need a hole on there because we're just going to glue those onto the window like they're kind of coming out of the window of the house. So we do a second coat on both of those to get those that nice white color, make it pop. And I do want to keep the black, white, and burlap, so I'm going to use some of the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I guess it's a ribbon burlap roll, and it's a little bigger than what I need, so I'm just going to cut it down to size. To get a nice square cut, the best way to do that is just to pull out a whole string, and then you are going to be able to see that so you can cut straight across the burlap really easily. So I'm going to use that as a measure so that I can pull out another string here for the bottom part. Sometimes it's just tricky, try to get the right string, and then I am just going to keep cutting that down to size. I want to put the word "Hey Boo" on the bottom of that. I thought it would be funny. And I have some of those little galvanized metal letters that I think are going to fit on there. Now to glue it down, I didn't want any visible hot glue like melting through that. So I just did a thick layer of tacky glue and then laid the burlap right on top. Now, if you see these little galvanized letters at Dollar Tree, be careful. You're only getting half the alphabet, so you have to keep that in mind. And I'm going to spell out the word "Hey Boo." It barely fits, but it fits. So I thought that'd be really fun. So to attach those, I'm just going to hot glue on each one of the galvanized metal letters. I'm just going to leave them the metal color. I think that's going to be a fun little contrast. And it doesn't really compete with the black and white and burlap theme that we've got going on. But I did have to put them right next to each other to get it to all fit. I guess otherwise you could just put Boo. I put Boo on my last go, so I didn't really want to do that again, just to mix it up a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I love that the cathedral window is already black, so we can just add the little white ghost to it. This DIY was so easy, and it turned out so cute. I love these little ghosts. I have another project with those coming up later on in the video, too. So I just do a little hot glue. I want them to look like they're kind of floating through the air, like maybe like they just came out of the window of a haunted house. And here they are. I think they look super cute. Let me show you how these look. Hanging in my home. I love them. And if you can find one of the black cathedral windows like that, it's just kind of a no-brainer. It's perfect for Halloween.
And I really love crafting with those little ghost ornaments. It's so cute. And I absolutely love the saying on there, "Hey Boo." It's so fun. Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up one of these mossy skulls from the Dollar Tree in green, and I got a really funky piece of driftwood that I found at the beach. And I thought we could do something cool, something that like washed out of the ocean, a mossy skull. Isn't it so cool for $1.25? Now, this is a really weird piece of driftwood. I love it though, but as you can see, it didn't really want to stand up too much, maybe because it was too round. And I definitely had one side that I wanted to decorate. So I used a pair of pliers to try to even it out a little bit on the bottom to see if I could make it a little less tippy. It didn't really work though. It was still a little bit tippy. So I'm just going to attach some wood to the bottom. You're not really going to be able to see. This is just a 5-gallon paint stirrer stick that I have from Walmart, but you could always use a ruler for that. And I just cut a little panel down to be able to make it stand up. I'm going to attach it to the bottom of my driftwood, just a simple base, and that really helped it. Now, I did have to glue it some more just because it's such an odd shape that I'm attaching it to, but I was able to get it set up and flat there on the bottom without destroying this great piece of driftwood. Isn't this so cool? And I want my mossy skull to be about halfway, maybe kind of leaning to one side. So I attached that to my driftwood with hot glue as well. And I'm going to be covering it with some Spanish moss and reindeer moss and stuff too to make it look really creepy. But definitely wanted this to look like something that washed up from the sea, something really cool. And I love the moss. I think that is going to go really well with the different mosses we're adding to it. So this is Spanish moss. I just kind of grab a bundle and just start hot gluing it on here. I do a little to each side. I like that. It's a little wild, but you can always go back and kind of trim it up later. And then anywhere where I have like a little hole in the driftwood, I added some of that as well. My school wanted to go back a little bit, but as long as it's glued on, I'm totally fine with it. It can kind of look whatever direction it wants. I also add a little bit of it coming out of his teeth because I thought that would be cool. And then I'm going to do a little moss here like on this little crack in his skull. And I love these. They have them in black and green. I've DIY'd both now, and I think it's just a really good value. It's definitely the quality you'd pay more for like at Target Dollar Spot for sure. Now, this is the reindeer moss. I love how the green matches the green moss on the skull. So I'm going to kind of scatter that around my driftwood piece as well. And this is going to make just a really fun piece. You could make it as coastal as you want it or not coastal if you want. But I was definitely going for the coastal Halloween feel on this one. So I'm going to decorate mine with some sea creatures and seaweed and stuff like that. I do want there to be lots of moss. So I just kind of keep adding it until I'm happy with it. I really like the idea of using moss like on the cracks of the skull too. So I switch it up from Spanish moss to reindeer moss, kind of going down the back of his head for a little variety. And again, if there were like any holes in the driftwood, I have a little bit of the moss like peeking out. Really kind of looks like seaweed. I even thought it would be fun to put like maybe some in his eye socket. Maybe some of the reindeer moss coming out of his eye just to make him look really creepy. I wish the mouth opened. That would make him perfect, but he's pretty perfect already. I'm going to do a little bit more Spanish moss here on top of his head for extra creepy factor. And I really love how he's turning out. Again, I'm going to trim up a little bit of that crazy Spanish moss, but that's what it looks like so far. Now, this is some shore living greenery that I got this year that has like the brown tones. I like to save these for fall, but it's got like all these different coral and seaweed pieces on the seahorse picks from the Dollar Tree shore living line. And so I'm going to use a couple of those for some seaweed. I think that's a great source. They have all these different kinds. And you know what? This one had like a whitish seahorse on there, so I could do a little ghost seahorse as well. So I'm going to use that too. I really love this little piece. It's really cool. So I kind of like find a little spot to put it, hot glue that, kind of like growing out of the driftwood. And then these kind of look like seaweed. They're a little long though, but you can always just shorten them just by cutting it exactly how long you want it to be. The seahorse already had wire on there, so I thought I might as well take advantage of it. I just cut it a little bit shorter, and the driftwood was pretty soft. Soft enough I could just put the wire right down inside and make the seahorse be right here next to the skull. A little bit more greenery with this one. This one was a little tall, so I kind of cut it in half so I could use both pieces. And I do open up another package of the greenery too, just to even it out, add a little bit more greenery too. They do have this in like the green seaweed and stuff with the blue seahorse. If you only have that one, I think it would work well too. But definitely a shore living item I stock up for that I try to use all year long for coastal decor. So this is my second bundle. It's the same exact one. It had a white seahorse on it as well. I'm only going to use one seahorse though. I'll save the other one for later. I just wanted some more of this great like seaweed material. I thought about like wrapping that around him, but I decided just to kind of glue it behind him. You know how little seahorses hang on to seaweed with their tails? They're so cute. And I just add a little bit more until like both sides are kind of even with the amount of coral and seaweed they have. Then I'm going to use some of the grow animals from the Dollar Tree toy section. I wanted the crab out of this one, and it's bright red. I want it to be a ghost crab, which we actually have those at the beach here. I think they have such a fun name for Halloween. So I definitely had to incorporate a ghost crab and a ghost seahorse in this project, I guess. So I just paint it bright white acrylic so it gives me that ghost factor. And we're going to add that to the driftwood as well. So really I used a free piece of driftwood, $1.25 for that mossy skull, 2 bunches of the shore living greenery, and then like a little grow animal here. So everything was from the Dollar Tree except for the moss because I just haven't been able to find it there lately. So I glue my little ghost crab on this side, and I think that is the perfect final little creature for our little driftwood wreath. I do give the seahorse a little bit brighter white to make him pop like the crab does against all the seaweed to give him that ghost factor. He was already kind of white. And then I did notice there was a few places like right here on his chin that the felt had kind of came off a little bit there from manufacturing. So I just add a few more pieces of moss here and there to kind of cover that up. You could go as much moss on the skull as you want. But I like the fact that I added different kinds of moss to it. I think that makes him look way more interesting. And let me show you how he turned out. Our little mossy skull on some driftwood with some little ghost creatures on the side. Very cool. I think this would look great like just on a shelf with your decor. It will also make a really interesting centerpiece for Halloween and definitely has a lot of style, I think. What do you guys think about this one? Now for the next DIY, I want to make a spiderweb topiary tree. I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree cotton twine. It's the Just Cotton. Some of their black fuzzy fabric. That's kind of new at Dollar Tree. I love that stuff. I thought about using the spider lights, but I ended up using a different spider. And then flexible cutting mats to make a tree. I have made Valentine's Day trees. I've made lots of trees with these cutting mats. They work really well because it's flexible. You can make a cone shape, and they're a nice size as well, being 12 inches tall when you do it sideways like this. So I just roll it into a cone shape, trying to get it fairly pointy here at the end and kind of overlapping that last flap right here. I just take some hot glue on that like last flap and hot glue that to it to create the tree shape for the spiderweb tree. Now at the bottom, it is not going to be even. We will trim that up, but I'm going to go ahead and glue the other side of the flap down first. And then just go in there with scissors. It's super easy to cut, and try to cut it to like a flat bottom right here. And we have our topiary tree. So works really well for a lot of different applications and seasons. Now I've been dying to craft with this black fuzzy fabric from the Dollar Tree. I thought it would be perfect for Halloween. If you can't find this, black fabric would work, but I thought this would give it a fun touch with this great material. So I am just measuring it. It's 12 inches, so it's perfect height for this size of a spiderweb tree. And I want the fabric to kind of go straight up and down. So I'm going to do my hot glue here straight up and down. That way I can have like my seam for the fabric on the back where you won't be able to see it. And I just kind of roll my fabric right on top of that. And then just keep rolling until it is covered. Again, I kind of want a straight seam here on the back. So I try to straighten it out as much as I can. And I just put the hot glue on the fabric so I can continue rolling that on there and covering the entire tree with this black fuzzy material. Once that sets up, I can go in and trim off the excess material. I think this would be cute for so many Halloween applications like fuzzy black cats and fuzzy bats and stuff like that. I just love it. I've used it before on my bee DIYs, like in that golden color, and I was really happy to find some in black as well. Now I do kind of want to secure it here at the bottom so my fabric doesn't kind of like ride up like that, a little bit too short. I don't want any of the plastic visible. So I just kind of glue that down and trim it up if needed. I also want to glue the tip so it's closed a little bit more than it is. So I kind of glue the fabric together right there. I left a small opening in the top for my excess material, and I just kind of push it down inside there to cover the entire thing with the black fuzzy material. Now it's time for the just cotton. If you can't find this one, you could always use like the hardware. They have a twine. Or even like the macrame cord from Dollar Tree would work too. I just thought this would be a great thin white cord for a spider web. So what I'm going to do is just kind of drape that over the very top, cutting off enough of it where I can go all the way around the bottom and tie it off here. You could always hot glue it on the inside if you wanted, but you're not going to be able to see the bottom of it. So I thought, why not? I'll just tie it here. Just makes it a little bit easier. So these are going to be like the spider webs that everything else are attached to. I'm only going to do 2. I'm going to do them crisscross like this. So I go the other direction, cut off about the same length, make sure it's kind of centered there on the tip of it, and then tie this one off at the bottom as well. Now, originally I thought about putting those spider lights on it, and I was thinking you could even hide like the battery pack underneath of it since it's hollow inside. But I did end up using a different spider. Now what I wanted to do is make it look like a spider web. So we're going to have to be doing all the cross sections of the spider web, and they kind of arch up. So I'm going to have to kind of take it one step by step to be able to glue that down in an arch pattern like that, which is going to give it the great spider web effect. Again, I'm using my Surebonder just because it is a more fine tip hot glue gun, and I don't want you to be able to see any hot glue on this great fabric. I just do an arch design, and I continue that here in the next section. And I like the fuzzy fabric because this kind of sits down in it. It gives it a really cool feel. And I definitely have to use the hot glue the entire section so it will keep that arch shape. I don't want like straight lines. I want it to be arched like that. And I am just going all the way around until I finish where I started there. And then I'm going to go in and do a second row the same way. So like a couple inches up, I just hot glue. I found that if you hot glued like a half a section at a time, you really had a lot of control over your hot glue and not making a mess. So I found that helpful, but sometimes I did mix it up like that and do a whole one at once. Kind of depended on the section, how big it was. They're not uniform, which is great because a spider web wouldn't really be uniform either. I just glue that around until I start here. I can stop where I started, and we're just going to repeat that all the way up the spider to form this great web. I just had this idea in my head. I couldn't find anybody else that have made anything like this, but it just kind of made sense, the shape of the topiary tree and how I could recreate a web on there because of the interesting shape of a spider web. I've done other spider web crafts where I've done like spider webs in frames and stuff like that. So I kind of know the spider web pattern. It's super easy to do once you get those cross sections and you just do all these little arch parts to give it that cool shape. It would also be cute if you had like the spiderweb fabric from Dollar Tree and covered it with this. But I think that if you create your own web like this, it is always going to be a little bit better. I think I have room for one more row up here at the top. And this is going to finish off the web part of our little topiary tree. Now I want to decorate it with a spider. And again, I did try the little spider lights, and I thought they were a little too busy with the wires and stuff like that. So I'm going to switch it up to one of the Dollar Tree spiders. These are the spider clips. They're like black glitter. I like to use my heat gun and not touch that hot clip afterwards to peel those off, but it gives me this great spider. I was trying to decide where exactly the spider should be on the web. I thought about halfway down here on the front would look kind of cool, kind of like climbing up the spider web like that. But I thought it blended in too much being black on black. So you know what? We're going to use that gold spray paint, and we're going to spray our spider. Now I found that this spider did not spray paint as well as the plastic one, maybe because it had the glitter, a little bit of flocking on there. So I felt like I had to paint it a little bit more to make it a brighter gold. And so I just go over there with a second coat just to brighten it up a little bit. And that looks good. Trying to make sure it's not too sticky. And it is dry enough here to work with. I'm going to go ahead and glue it right about here. And now it really pops against that black background of the spider web. And we have a little golden spider. Kind of coordinates well with the taxidermy bugs that we did that were all gold. And I really think that's as much detail as it needs. The spider web really adds so much to this. And that little pop of gold on the spider was just a really fun little touch. So here it is, our little spider web topiary tree with our gold spider on there. And I really love how this turned out. You can do a tree for every season, doesn't have to be Christmas.
I just picked up a plastic skull from the Dollar Tree and we are really going to transform this. I didn't know if I would really be able to pull it off, but I wanted to do a driftwood skull. So I thought using a plastic skull would probably be a good base. I was a little worried though about, I didn't really like the color of like the teeth and things that might show through after I add driftwood to it. And these parts are still going to be visible. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint mine with a little bit of ivory acrylic just to brighten those up a little bit because they are kind of black and dark. And like the things that will be visible are like, the eye sockets, the nose, the teeth. So I just darkened up the little eye sockets and nostrils with some black acrylic just to make them look a little bit better than the paint job that was already on there. Once I have that all touched up and dried, this is the driftwood we're going to use. This is the driftwood vase filler available at Target. It's a kind of a light color, so you can always stain it if you want like a more colorful driftwood, but I actually find that it's easier to craft with than actual driftwood that I get at the beach. So the trickiest part is probably the face, so that is the area that I'm starting with. And I'm just trying to find driftwood pieces that are going to kind of naturally fit with the little skeleton face and try them until they do, overlapping, hot gluing those both to the little plastic skull and to each other if I need to. And again, I want like the eyes, the nose, the teeth to all be visible. So I'm going to sit here and fill in some of the chin too. And you can see definitely like a puzzle putting this together. I have to try pieces until I think they'll work. And then I just attach them with hot glue. And the end result of this little driftwood skull is so cool. I really am so glad that I made this. It really goes great with my coastal Halloween decor that I decorate within my house. I have a lot of skeletons and stuff like that, like skeleton animals, especially skeleton like sea creatures. And this is just another fun vibe to go with that with the driftwood feel. Now, these pieces, they come in all different shapes and sizes, as you can see, but if you need a smaller piece, they're pretty easy to cut down to if you need to, but I'm trying to make do with what I have. I just dumped all mine out so I could really get a good selection, just because this was definitely a challenging fit here for the driftwood pieces. Once you get the face done though, it becomes easier because then you're just going to be working with the back of the skull, the top of the head, and you can kind of do whatever kind of pattern that you want. I kind of have mine really no pattern whatsoever, just kind of having them go whatever direction they're going to fit and just keep attaching all of those with hot glue. Then I have this way sped up because it can be a little bit more of a time consuming process to make a driftwood project like this. But I think the driftwood filler from Target is definitely the key. I have bought this before on Amazon, but I kind of prefer this that's available at Target. I also added a little bit extra here to the back of the head to make it sit flat like I wanted. And then basically it's just a process of trying to clean up any of your excess hot glue from all of the glue that you added to it. I pretty much put driftwood everywhere except for the very bottom of his chin. And I think he looks pretty good. I did want to distress his teeth a little bit with a little antique wax by Waverly to make them look not so perfect on this old driftwood skull. And I think it turned out pretty cool. What do you guys think about our little driftwood skull DIY? I think this would go really good for like coastal Halloween. It would also look really cool with like pirate decor and stuff like that if you get into that for Halloween. But this is how it looks and how I constructed mine. And he's coming to get you. And let me show you how I displayed it in my house. I displayed it with some blue coral decor that I had and with the other coastal Halloween items. I think it looks really kind of creepy yet cool.
Now, I have been having trouble trying to source the driftwood from Target. It is the Threshold brand driftwood vase filler. Sometimes I can find it available online. I still have a stockpile of it, but I know some of you guys have used like the barbecue wood chips and stuff like that, so there's other things that you can use as well. Next up, we have a tier tray, and the theme is Halloween Apothecary. This is the tier tray I'm decorating, my little rectangular tier tray, and I had lots of fun ideas for you.
So for the top of my tier tray, I want to make a little tiny apothecary cabinet, and I'm going to use one of these little Dollar Tree signs for that. I'm just going to use it backwards like that. It'll have a little shelf to hold potion bottles, and I like the wood frame. So I'm just going to remove the little hanger that was on the back of this sign. And once I put those little potion bottles in there from Target Dollar Spot, you will be able to see the back a little bit. So I'm just going to go in and kind of do like a faux like wallpaper kind of effect on this. So I start with ivory and just try to avoid the wood frame on there. Try to paint that out. Used a little bit too much paint, so let me thin this out a little bit. And then once I get that all painted, I'm going to go in and distress it to make it look old and weathered. And I do that with just some antique wax by Waverly, and I get that cool old design. Now onto our potions. These are $1 right now at Target Dollar Spot. This one is serpent scales. I tried to pick some of the darker ones because I want to do a lot of black on this tier tray for Halloween. And let me show you these. They're kind of cool. This has got little scales in there for the snake. And they're super cute and I really like them, but the labels are just too clean and the bottles are a little too clean too. So again, I'm using antique wax by Waverly. I'm not only distressing the labels with them, I distress the whole bottle so it looks like an old, like mottled bottle, and it gives you that more creepy Halloween feel. This one is Wool of Bats, and it's so cute. It is filled with little black bats all over. So I'm going to do the same thing on this. Normally I would like stain the labels with a tea bag or something, and we're going to do that a little later, but these labels are a little bit sealed to kind of protect them so they don't really take that too well. So I found that the antique wax by Waverly works way better. So potion number 2, ready to go. Cute little bats in there. And when you can find these little potions pre-made, it's going to be a big time saver for you. This one is Scaredy Cats, and it's full of little black cats. Super cute. I bought almost enough to fill this up, but not quite. We're going to do a total of 5 of these, and we're also going to DIY some of our own potion bottles too, if you can't find these, but all the Target Dollar Spots that I've been in lately all seem to have these. These are the Raven Wings, and this has got like black feathers in it. One of my favorite ones, super cute. And I'm just doing the same technique on all of them, removing the plastic wrapper from the top, distressing the label and the bottle with antique wax by Waverly to make it look old. And this one's my favorite. It's witches' brooms, and there's these little tiny witch brooms in there. But they have lots more too if you want to switch up different colors or if you want to do a bigger one. But this is going to be a little miniature apothecary cabinet on my tier tray for Halloween. And apothecary is such a fun theme for Halloween. You can really get creative with it. So I didn't put feet on it because I don't really want it to tip over on the top of my tier tray. So I'm going to leave that as is. but that's how many I did. I did 5 in the Dollar Tree sign, and we're going to use it to decorate the very top tier of my 2-tier tray. So you can kind of see that aging effect on them, how it gives it like a different feel. Definitely makes them look older and creepier. Now, this is also from the Target Dollar Spot, and it's a really cool potion bottle with a bat on top of it. It was $5, but it's really cool. It's really large, and it's got lights in it that change color. So let me see if I can show you that to you. I'm going to turn off some of my lights here. And you can see that it's just constantly changing colors. It says finest bat cave aged, and it's really nice and big. So we're going to put this back here behind it since it's nice and tall. And I'm like, oh, you can't really see it that well. So I'm going to kind of scoot this over a little bit so that you can see it a little bit better because it's so cute. Now for the other side, I thought we could take one of these. This is a bleeding skull candle that I found at Dollar Tree the other day. I saw these at a Dollar Tree Plus that I'd went to recently, but I hadn't seen these at regular Dollar Tree, so I was excited to find this. It's a black skull, and when you light it, like it's got like red wax inside, so it looks like it's bleeding. So that's super cool. And it's got a little sparkle on it. And then I just picked up a black candlestick from Dollar Tree. Now to kind of break up the black there that we got going on, I thought we could use some creepy cloth. We're going to use this color, the ivory color, for our tier tray today, just to kind of break up because I have a lot of black going on, just to give it, you know, a crazy feel. So I just cut off a piece, and I'm just going to kind of string that over the little candle holder just to kind of break up the 2 different items, make them, you know, stand out a little bit more with the ivory color behind it. And you can just kind of arrange that however you want. I'm going to use this creepy cloth as filler today to decorate like some of the areas of my tier tray that don't have anything. And I think it looks nice and creepy for Apothecary. So we got our little candle. The black skull, I think, totally goes with the Apothecary theme. Now, all the large items are placed here on my top tier. It's really not going to hold much more large items, but we can switch it up and decorate some smaller items too. So these are the little mini glass containers. You get 6 of these in a package. They have several different sizes. I think they have a smaller one too. And for the first one, we're just going to use some of these foil flakes that I found at Dollar Tree. I thought we could just fill up these little potion bottles with different things. And I'm not going to label these. You could. They're awfully small, so I'm just going to fill them up with things. So it's a little bit easier said than done because the hole's kind of small on there. But just take your time. You can kind of push things down in there. I didn't have any funnels like small enough to do that, but I wanted to fill it up at least like 2/3 of the way full with the little gold flakes. And I think that looks cool. Like a little cute little potion. I'm going to pop the little cork back on it. I love these little glass bottles and stuff like this from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. For the next one, we're going to use some fennel seed. I went through my spice cabinet and tried to find some spices that would work. And these kind of look like seeds. Since I'm not like labeling these little teeny tiny ones, they don't really have to look like anything in particular, but you'd be surprised if you went online how many ideas people have for filling potion jars for an apothecary for Halloween. It's so fun. The next one, I'm going to use some oregano. And I just wanted like different looking things that might look like things that you might see in an apothecary. And again, just kind of trying not to make a giant mess here, but filling this one up as well. I thought there's 6 of them. I thought maybe we would do like 4 of them to help fill up that top tier. And for the last spice, we're going to do a red pepper. This one kind of turned out really cool. It kind of looks like a tiny potpourri or something like that in there. And again, just taking my time, trying to get it through that little tiny hole there in the top, but super cute little potion bottles. And we're going to have lots of potion bottles today. Lots of ways that you can DIY them yourself like this, or use them pre-made from Dollar Tree and Dollar Spot. So here they are, our 4 little mini potion bottles, and I thought we could decorate the top with those too. So we can fill in some of these smaller spots by just kind of scattering these around and arranging them nicely. I wanted to do my wood tier tray. I got this tier tray on Amazon because I thought it would go with a creepy apothecary feel, and it totally does. I love how they look together. Now for another tiny item, I thought I would use some of these little fairy garden decorations from Dollar Spot at Target. They're only $1, and you get 3 of these different skulls. And the thing I like about these are they're so tiny, so they're perfect for decorating a tier tray. The only thing I didn't like about them is that they were super white. So I'm just going to kind of warm them up a little bit by distressing them with some ivory, because we're going to have little ivory here and there on the tier tray today, and I want it to kind of coordinate. So I'm going to use like 2 of these as filler on my top tier and then the other one for filler on my bottom tier. Just super cute. I used a bunch of these for a Halloween tray, the little miniatures from Target Dollar Spot the other day, and they're just so cute. I love them. So I thought we would just kind of scatter those around. Just another little fun detail. I think the skull definitely goes with the apothecary theme. And just kind of decorating this up a little bit, rearranging if I need to. Now, again, I'm going to use some of that creepy cloth. I told you I was going to use this filler. This time I cut a tiny strip so I can get it to almost fall apart to just look like rags. I thought that would look creepy, and I like this look better than using like the cobwebs from Dollar Tree, because those things are like so hard to work with. It's so hard to get them stretched to make them look nice. And so I'm just pulling them apart into little rags and just filling up any of the areas that don't really have anything to finish off the top tier. At first, I was going to do a little pennant banner for the front of my tier tray right there, but I really love those potions and I thought it might take away from it. So we're going to move on to the bottom. I found this great sign at Dollar Tree. It's perfect. I don't have to do anything to it. It says pick your poison, and it's got potions all over it, and it's nice and tall. So I'm going to slide it back here. It's going to be a nice back decoration that's going to provide some decor for the bottom of the tier tray. And it's perfect, right? And Dollar Tree also has these little potion blank signs this year, and I thought we could do a really simple DIY using some of this Halloween leather. This one is like the black and white, and it totally gives me that like witchy apothecary feel. And so I thought that would be a really easy way to cover the potion bottle without having to make a custom sign or anything like that. So I just lay the little potion bottle on the back of the leather and trace that out on the back, and we can just cut that down to size and glue that to the potion bottle. Such an easy DIY, and it looks so cute. I am a huge fan of this Halloween leather. I really hope that they're planning on getting this stuff in for every holiday. How cute is that, right? Now, I know that the faux leather from Dollar Tree does not like hot glue. So I'm going to use tacky glue from Dollar Tree and do a nice thick coat on my little potion bottle and then just stick it on here. That is done. It's got enough detail on there. I don't really have to add any words or anything like that. And I think it looks super cute. How easy was that? And it says Hocus Pocus on there, so that's fun. And it's nice and tall. So we're going to kind of sit that over here on the side where you can kind of see that peeking out. Now, you guys have seen these. These are the little plastic cloches they always have at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to do a really fun, I wanted like to have a little monster inside of there for our apothecary. And this is actually like an old microphone, wind guard, little poofy little fur ball thing that I don't use for an old microphone that I had. And so I'm going to actually use that for a monster, but you can use whatever kind of fluff you could find. And then I'm just going to add some eyes to it to make it look mysterious. I had some of these little colored eyes from Target, but you could use whatever you've got. And I think it looks like a little furry monster. What do you guys think? So I don't want to completely damage this in case I need to use it again. So I'm just going to peel and stick the little stickers on here for 2 little eyes. And we have a little mystery for animals trapped in this little cloche. And I think that's going to be a nice little creepy surprise on my tier tray. My son's a huge Halloween fan and he's away at college. I went and visited him today and he's really bummed out that he's missing my Halloween DIYs. And I'm like, boy, you need to watch my YouTube channel. And then he's like, can you send me everything you make to decorate my dorm? Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up one of these candle holders from Dollar Tree, but instead of adding a candle to it, I thought we could do something fun. Make it like a little spider nest. So I found these little light up spiders at Dollar Tree. And it's got a little battery pack, but I can hide that inside the candle holders. So I just pop some batteries in there and then we have these little light up spiders. Now that little candle holder from Dollar Tree already has a big spider on the front. So that can be like the mama spider, right? And then we can fill it up with spider web to make it look like a spider nest. We actually, when I went to visit my son today, we went to Gumbo Limbo Nature Center down in Boca Raton where he's going to college. And we went on a boardwalk trail out to the Intercoastal. And oh my gosh, we saw so many spiders today. It creeped me out so bad. We probably saw like 30 giant spiders. One of them was so big that it had caught a mangrove crab and was eating it. It pulled its leg off and was eating it. But the crab was like bigger than the spider. It was crazy. So as you can see, I'm just taking that webbing and I just put it around the battery pack, but I left the switch on the top so I can turn it on and off. And I just wrapped it with the little battery operated spiders. And then I just want it to be kind of full, but it's going to be cool because it's going to light up like the potion too. So we're going to have a couple things light up on this tier tray, which is going to make it super creepy for Halloween. So there's my little faux spider nest in that little candle holder from Dollar Tree. I think it's really fun and works well together. And we're going to kind of sit that one over here. That little furry monster cracks me up. Now, these are the plastic potion bottles that they have at Dollar Tree that I found this year. This one is a black one. And I found this free printable online, and I'll be sure to include the link to this. I know I wasted a whole sheet of paper for this, but that was the only thing I needed to print. And I'm going to use a tea bag, and we are going to stain this. I printed it out on cardstock. And I'm going to stain more than just that because then I can go back and use that to make more labels if I need it. And then once I get it dry, I'm just going to cut this out. I like to work with cardstock, but you could totally do this with paper too. And just try to make it look semicircular. And we can decorate this little plastic potion bottle. It's kind of plastic and looks cheap, but once I've DIY'd it, it actually looked pretty good. So we're going to just Mod Podge this label on right here to the front. I like the frosted black plastic, and I don't really want the Mod Podge to be on that. So I kind of wipe that part off to clean it up and then just leave the Mod Podge on the label itself, gluing that to our little potion bottle. And it says Ashes of Vampire. Now, funny story, I didn't have any ashes because our barbecue grill is gas. So I was trying to think of something I can use for ashes. And I had Italian seasoning that was kind of like going out of date. So might as well fill it up halfway with that. And it looks like ashes too. So here's our little Ashes of Vampire, a nice large little potion that we can put here in the front. Okay, next DIY. I thought this little jar from the Dollar Tree would be perfect for a potion. It's got like a little place for a label in front. So I'm just going to use some of that leftover cardstock that we dyed with a tea bag. And just piece by piece, I'm going to try to cut it down to fit in that little label with a rounded end. So I just keep trimming it until it looks good. And then I'm just going to use my Sharpie and handwrite kind of in a fancy font, squid ink. And we're going to do a really easy potion with this one. And it's okay if you want to handwrite your labels like this. It did look too perfect though. So I went back and distressed it with some Antique Wax by Waverly. And I want it to look old and, potiony. So I kind of spread that out with a baby wipe as well. And then I went around the borders with a lighter to give me that burned edge. Now be careful that you don't catch it on fire like I did here a couple of times because I had to keep blowing it out. But it ended up looking really cool and weathered. So that's what I wanted. I'm going to Mod Podge that onto the front. by Mod Podging it under and on top of the label. And this one is going to be so easy. We're just going to color water for squid ink. You could also say like octopus ink, you know, whatever you want. But I thought this would be a really easy way to decorate this little jar. So I'm just going to fill it up with water. I did mine pretty full. You might want to not do it as full as I did it. And then some black paint, and then just stir that up. Easy peasy. Now this does have a seal on it, so hopefully this won't spill. But there is my squid ink. Looks really cool. I love it. I was going to paint the lid, but I kind of like it like the silver, and we're going to set that right here next to our Ashes of Vampire. And then I found this little candle that says Deadly Nightshade at the Target dollar spot for $3. And it's perfect because it looks like potion and it's a ready-made candle. It's black and ivory. The colors are perfect and it's nice and short. So we can sit it right here in front on the bottom of the tier tray. Now I picked this up at Dollar Tree today. It's one of the little bee bird cages that are so cute. I have DIY'd this for a bee tier tray before, one of these. But I thought we could do a Halloween version with one of those little skeletons from the Dollar Tree. My plan is to try to replace the bees with bats. Now, the first one was really kind of trickier to get off than the other ones, but I was able to get them all off. I do recommend using a pair of pliers though, so you don't cut yourself on any metal. And I thought we could use the bats to kind of fill in the spaces that are kind of damaged from removing the bees. If you don't want to remove the bees and you have one of these, you can always paint the bees black and make them look creepy too, I guess. I've seen people decorating with black butterflies for Halloween, and I think that's a really fun idea. So I'm going to use these little black felt bats from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just peeling them off the orange background, and they still have sticky on the back. So I'm just going to take advantage of that and just scatter those around. These are ones I had left over from last year, and these are the ones this year. I noticed they are a little bit different, like they don't have the lines on them, but that's okay. We can have a variety of bats all over my little bird cage, and this actually worked out really well. Now, when I did take the bees off, though, it did damage it like in 2 places, not just one. So I did have to go back with a little bit of black paint and just touch that up a little bit. But I thought it'd be a really cute little cage for a little tiny skeleton to be in. And I have the one covering his face, so he looks like he's super scared. So we're just going to pop him in the bird cage. Perfect size for a tier tray and nice and creepy for Halloween. And we're going to put him right here in front. What are you guys thinking about this tier tray? I think it was so much fun to put together. It was actually pretty easy. I DIY'd everything on here in only an hour. So easy peasy. Now here's the other little skull that we had left over from up top. And I do have a little place here in front of the potion that kind of needed something. And then again, I shredded some more of that little ivory creepy cloth. And we are just going to scatter that all around the bottom tier for filler.
And I really loved this theme for a Halloween tier tray. I've done several ones on my channel, but I always love to decorate with like the Halloween apothecary or potion vibe. And I think this had some really cute, easy ideas that you can use, like the little potion bottles there from the Dollar Tree. If you can get some of the little ones from Target, that's going to save you a little bit of time there with labels and stuff like that. But you can just leave them without labels, like I did some of those. But there's so many fun little creepy items that you can get at the dollar stores in general for a tier tray. And especially if you're just going to go with like a spooky theme. This had just lots of fun ideas. I love the little potions, the candles, even that little furry blob there in the back I think is really funny. Spider nests are really easy to do, and the little spiders from the Dollar Tree can be really cute as well. I also have like some potions back here towards the back. So I wanted to give you a quick little look here at this tier tray. Lots of fun DIYs, and now it is time for the final reveal. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I had a great time putting this video together for you. Let me know which Halloween DIY was your favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. I love reading your comments. You can find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube, on all social media. And this is my QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. Enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. I'd like to also give a huge thank you to my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you so much to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Familia Red, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Marin Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Red Mama, Powell Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Mindy Hupp, Jenny, and Debbie Austin. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you would like to support my channel and become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to this video on either your phone or your computer. You're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube, a badge next to your name when you comment down below, and a shout out in every video. I'd also love to see what you've been crafting. Be sure to share your DIYs with us in the private Facebook group linked in the description of today's video. We would love to see what you've been crafting, even if it's for like Christmas. I know some people are getting started on that already. Now, would you like even more Halloween crafting inspiration? Be sure to check out one of these Dollar Tree DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for Halloween.